What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NBA High Five video with your boy. Drop a like down below, comment anything in the comment section, and enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hopefully everybody had an amazing night last night. It was a tough one for me because it was just an awkward night in general. Guys like Gallinari went for over 50. Guys like LeBron got 30. Jason Tatum got like under 20. It was a weird DFS night to say the least. But we all know throughout the season you're going to have nights like that where it doesn't matter what you do. You know what I mean? The only way to succeed on those nights is just close your eyes and completely wing it and not really know what you're doing. But anyways, this slate feels really, really good. Let's go ahead and get back into it. Let's bounce back. Greenlightdfs.com to join the squad. As you can see, I'm back on the Greenlight Optimizer. Let's get straight to it. Starting off at point guard, there's a couple really good values I love today, and that's going to be Emmanuel Quickly and Derrick Rose. Quickly and Derrick Rose are both going to get a bump with no Elfrid Payton. Derrick Rose right now is projected in the starting lineup. Not sure how they end up officially doing it, if they end up making Quickly, but whoever. Either way, regardless of the starting lineup, I like Quickly and I love Derrick Rose. Quickly's only 4-1. He's had a good fantasy point per minute season so far. I believe he's like at 1.03, something like that, with Elfrid Payton off the floor. He has solid fantasy points per minute, solid usage. Same thing with Derrick Rose. We all know what the situation with Derrick Rose. Plain and simple, the dude is talented, man. It's just he has to get those minutes to show up. And when he gets that opportunity, he always ends up coming through most of the time. Majority of the time, Derrick Rose is not going to be a guy who lets you down. And on top of that, not only do we have Elfrid Payton out, so that gives some guard pluses, but you got the matchup against Sacramento. It could not get much better. So I really love New York today. I love RJ Barrett. I like Julius Randle. I like Derrick Rose. And I like Quickly. There's some good New York guys to play with today. Love the matchup against Sacramento, and I feel like their floor is pretty damn good. Power forward, love Michael Porter Jr. today. Now, there was something very positive about Michael Porter Jr. in this last game. The most important thing, in my opinion, with Green out and the other power forward out, I'm blanking on his name right now, but Green and whatever his name is. But a couple power forwards out, Michael Porter hit the 40-minute mark last game. He played 40 minutes. That is the bright spot. Because if you guys remember, all right, Michael Porter Jr. had some huge moments last season. All right, he started really coming through and he was balling. All right, this is a talented player, plain and simple. Okay? He played 40 minutes, got 30 against Portland, and his price dropped 200. Love Michael Porter, especially in this matchup against Washington. I think he's going to have a big game here, and I do have this gut feeling that he's going to have an easy 45-plus type of outing here soon, and I want to be on him when it happens because this dude is talented. Once he gets it rolling, he's going to be fantastic. So I love him here against Washington. I think 30 is his floor, so 5x should be his floor. All it's going to take is because if you look at it, Jamal Murray's been super duper hot. Jokic always takes some usage out. So that's what's kind of kept Porter behind because Murray's been super hot. Okay? Jamal Murray has a tough shooting night, and Michael Porter could end up being the guy outside of Murray. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens, but Michael Porter Jr. gets you exposure to a fantastic matchup here for Denver. A cheapish price for a guy who's going to play a ton of minutes. 40 minutes last game is a huge plus. Now, do I expect another 40 minutes? Probably not, but this matchup is fantastic. All right, love it. All right, at center, I love this matchup so much. One of my favorite spend ups of the day is going to be Jokic. All right, Jokic is just an absolute monster, okay? Now, he got 58 last game against Portland. I actually had him. I played him in that game. Okay, now here's the thing. At the end of the day, you kind of want a little more than 58. I was hoping for like an over 60 something performance, obviously, against Portland in a plus matchup. But here's the thing. In a game against Washington, he already dropped 59 against them earlier this year. Okay, and when he did that, he was 11K. Now he's 10-4, missing a lot of people. His price went down from 10-8 to 10-4. When's the last time he was this cheap? January 31st, he was 10-3. Ever since January, what was it? What did I just say? 31st, he has not been this cheap again. And when he was that cheap, he dropped 77 against Utah. Okay? So I really love this spot here for Jokic going against Washington. There's nobody on this team that can even consider guarding him. They are super weak down low. Love Jokic here. He has slate breaking potential tonight. And I haven't had much of an issue being able to get him in because we got a solid amount of value today that I'm feeling good about in the low 4K range, obviously, like Quickly, Rose. You got DJ Augustine, and some other guys that we'll talk about. All right. Last but not least, I'm going double stud as of right now. I love Giannis. Giannis Antetokounmpo, love him. I've been sticking to him in cash games. I've been sticking to Giannis because he's just dropping 65s to 75s on a consistent basis. Okay, and at the end of the day, at 11K, 66 for 6X. I feel like he's good to go on that one. He dropped 67 earlier this year against New Orleans. I love the spot. Not only that, but last year he dropped 67 as well. So he just has a knack for 67 against New Orleans, and that's definite value. That's an amazing spot. It all comes down to how you feel about value when it comes to where to spend up and stuff. You know, it all comes down to what value you feel comfortable with. So, with that said, Emmanuel Quickly, Rose, Porter Jr., Giannis, and Jokic is the high five. That leaves you over 4,500 remaining per player. Now let's look at value, guys, on this slate. Monte Morris at 4.8 pops really hard for me. I really like him. Kleber and Porzingis miss again. I will be interested in Jalen Brunson at 4.6. DJ Augustine at 4.1. You can do worse than him in a very plus matchup here. Okay. Who else? Campazzo at 4.2 is grading out to be a solid value. Bruce Brown against Orlando is mid 4Ks. Dante DiVincenzo seems a little cheap at 5K. We need 25 for 5X. I feel that's doable. Zeke Naji at 3.2. As we know, they're missing bigs. Now, this is a very low fantasy point per minute player. Doesn't have much usage, which makes sense when you're on the floor with guys like Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and, Will Barton. You're not going to get many shots. But plain and simple, if he can end up falling into like 15, he's going to make it great for you. Who else? I already talked about loving Julius Randle. I think Alec Burks is slick for GPPs. I think he's going to be the New York guy that gets slept on in this situation. And without Elfrid Payton, if he comes in and gets hot, he could really hit value at 4.2 at low ownership, by the way. Al-Farouq Aminu. Al-Farouq Aminu's in a decent spot. I think he's projected for around 20 minutes or so. He averages about a fantasy point per minute, and the matchup against Brooklyn is A1. We know all year you've been wanting to start guys against Brooklyn. That defense has not been very good. So Aminu's in a solid spot here in this one. And that's about it, man, for DraftKings. So that's the high five. We went over some value. Let's talk FanDuel. All right, so over here on FanDuel, let me take yesterday's off. All right. Over here on FanDuel, I really like Monte Morris at 4.7. He seems like a very solid option. Michael Porter Jr. is cheaper over here. I'm going to go ahead and put Michael Porter Jr. in as one of my favorite options over here. DJ Augustine feels really good as a value at point guard at 3.9 if you end up needing the value. But Augustine just feels really good. He's cheaper over here than on DK. 3.9 seems like it's a little too cheap for the boy. Who else do we have? De'Aaron Fox seems pretty fucking cheap. Depending on who starts, Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly are going to be in play, obviously. You know what? Derrick Rose is more expensive over here, so I'm going to skip him on the core, but he is a solid option. It just depends on where you at. I'd love De'Aaron Fox at 7.7, man. That just seems too low. Way too low. Let's see. So not amazing value as I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling it out, and I'm not loving the value over here outside of DJ Augustine. Let's see who the plays are over here. So, guys that pop to me, honestly, I keep going back to my feelings on De'Aaron Fox. I keep falling back to that. 7.7 just feels a little too cheap here. And going against like Derrick Rose defense or something, this is a solid spot for De'Aaron Fox. And I talk about how much I love New York. I got to love the other side too. I think this game's going to be a solid game here. So I like De'Aaron Fox a lot in this one. And so yeah, that's the start for FanDuel. Depending on what value ends up popping for you. Like I said, I'm not loving the value so far. If Seth Curry ends up, I believe he's probable, so I'll have to take that tag off and put him in. Seth Curry's solid value too. Let me put him in there. Just value-wise in general on a slate that doesn't have a ton of it, I do like Seth Curry. You know what? Sorry. I want Monte Morris instead probably. Let me see. Oh, Monte Morris is point guard only. So yes, Seth Curry. If I'm liking De'Aaron Fox, I'm gonna have to go Seth as a core guy, as a value. So DJ Augustine, he seems too cheap at 3.9. De'Aaron Fox, my gut just keeps landing on him. Looking over here on FanDuel, I like him on DK as well. De'Aaron Fox at 7.7 feels really good. Seth Curry at 4K seems like a solid option to me. I really like him. And then Michael Porter Jr. is cheaper over here. He's 5.7. He's 300 cheaper, and a fantastic matchup for him. All right, let's check out Yahoo. Come over here to Yahoo, take these guys out. All right, let's see what we got here. We got Monte Morris at 11. Okay, quickly at 10. I'm going to go ahead and lock him in. I like DJ Augustine at bare min. How much is Rose? Rose at 16 is perfectly fine for me. Let's see. What spend up guys are looking good to me? Let's see. Michael Carter Williams is sneaky. He could have a big game here anytime soon. Let's see. Michael Porter Jr. is 22 over here, so he's a little bit more. Let's see who's popping at the top. Jokic's popping at the top at 55. I like the savings, the $5 savings on Joel Embiid. I really do like Embiid today, but I also like a lot of these guys around this spot, honestly. A lot of these guys are great options around this spot. It's going to be hard to choose that, man. It really is going to be hard to choose that final spot. Man, that's rough. It's rough, man. Quickly and Rose are locked, in my opinion. You know what? You're going to have money, so I'm just going to go ahead and go Giannis. He's only 100 more than Jokic over here. I'm going to go Giannis as another guy that could probably get in your lineups pretty easily over on Yahoo. So quickly, Rose and Giannis as the core start over on Yahoo. On FanDuel, we have DJ Augustine, De'Aaron Fox, Seth Curry, and Michael Porter. And then over on Draftkings, we have quickly Rose, Michael Porter Jr., Giannis, and Jokic. All right? Thank you guys for joining me as always. GreenlightDFS.com. Join the squad. Let's get it. I'm out. Peace.